Hello, everyone. Welcome to week two's edition of the Bluffton Pirates Coaches Show, live on X, Facebook Live, and YouTube. I am Sam Sprunger, as always, joined by JW Shannon. JW, a day later, but still, we're 1 day away from football, buddy.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, we had a little bit of a conflict with some birthdays and stuff, so sorry about that, folks.
It happens.
Yeah,
And you know what? We're still giving them what they want.
absolutely.
We just left them waiting one more extra day.
There you go. It's a little better, more anticipation.
Yeah, the anticipation. All right. Well, good and bad from last week, JW. We've got we the Bluffton Pirates take down the Ben Logan Raiders 33-30. Got a little hairy in that first half there, mister.
Yeah, it wasn't what I'd call an impressive win, but hey, a win's a win. So that's the way we got to look at it at this point.
Yeah, as long as you don't ever want to be content with how things happen, but at the same time, you get the W, you're going to be happy about it to a certain extent.
Yeah,
and then you worry about cleaning those things up the next week.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
It's easier on the coaches that way. They got more to work with. If you play a perfect game, what are they gonna work you on?
Yeah, so. It almost seems like you're trying to make stuff up if that's
right. Yeah,
when you run into that. So, yeah, well, let's dive in a little bit with these stats that we've got from from last week.
Sure. Yeah.
Overall, and I just broke my pen. It's a brand new pen. Anyways, I guess I don't. I got to find the top of that one. Looking at the stats, JW, this was Ben Logan held their own every bit of the way of this game, up to and including at the end of up to the end of the game. Sure. What was your biggest thing that you saw with the struggle? Any struggle that the Pirates had that you thought kind of stood out the most to you?
I think a lot of it was our interior line. They've not got a ton of experience with each other. With a couple of the new guys coming in,
right?
And it just seemed like they weren't quite gelling, together, which I think vastly improved, during the second half of the game. But I think that originally that was our main thing, just getting the timing and so forth, in real game situation.
Yeah, I think it was real apparent that, and this is not at all a criticism. It's just you could tell absolutely that they weren't quite ready for live game action with one another yet. They hadn't learned to trust one another in a real game situation.
Yeah,
and that does take some time. And you know what? That first half, that was a rough first half defensively.
It was
a rough first half offensively. Honestly, I think we only put together basically a couple of drives more than than the 4 plays that it takes to give the ball back to them. But there were glimpses. There were glimpses during that first half too.
Oh, absolutely. And I really think maybe we weren't quite prepared for the Ben Logan team that we got.
Right.
They have definitely improved 5-fold since last year. And the numbers they have too.
Yeah. Their quarterback, Predmore, he's an athlete. He's only a sophomore, but he's an athlete. He knows how to throw the ball. He's got a good arm, and he knows how to use his feet and run the ball. And he's good on that read option play to where whether he hands it off or he holds on to it and takes it himself.
And they run that beautifully.
Yes,
they run
do.
That beautifully. I mean, you don't know if he's going to just leave it in a runner's gut or if he's going to pull it out last second. So. Yeah, they do a nice job running that
during the broadcast, JW. There were multiple times that I said that he handed it off, and actually he pulled it out and taken it
absolutely.
Himself. So there's it's very obvious that he is going to be a good athlete down the road. It's just I'm glad we only play him once a year.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think Ben Logan's going to be a team to deal with. This season they've definitely vastly improved.
Yeah, you look at total yards. We only outgained them by about 65 yards overall
Yeah.
total,
Yeah.
and that was 80 some yards over on the passing, 318 to 234. But they outrushed us, which how odd is that to say that we were outrushed by somebody? But
Right.
Ben Logan, 93 yards to 74. We only had 74 rushing yards.
Yeah, and usually, I mean, we're used to the last couple of years. We may have 2 or 3 running backs with that many yards,
Yeah, yeah,
in the first half, even. So, yeah, to only have 74 total, it just tells you what a nice interior defense they had.
yeah, yeah. It was you look at all the others stats when it comes to the team stats. I'm looking third down efficiency. We were better, but they weren't. I mean, they were 25%.
Yeah,
We both turned the ball over once. We both had 5 penalties. The big part was Predmore for Ben Logan threw for 234 yards. Tate Gieske, our Riley Creek Sportswear Player of the Week,
yeah,
had 318 yards. I had a
right.
couple of questions from a couple of people asking why'd we take Tate over somebody like Kane Wright, who had
Right.
absolutely
Yeah.
energized the team in the second half to start up the second half. Well, the way we were looking at it is the team scored 5 touchdowns and Tate Gieske had his part in every single one of those. So
Absolutely.
he
Yeah.
absolutely was the deserving player of the week.
I mean, Kane played a fantastic game. So
Oh,
does a
sure.
couple of the other guys, but Tate had to do some wheeling and dealing to get some of those passes out there, and he did such a good job of getting out of the pocket and throwing on the run, and he threw some bullets. So that's the main reason we felt like he deserved it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he was a big part of every scoring play we had.
Oh, for sure. And like I said, Kane, 2 receptions, 125 yards, 2
Yeah,
touchdowns.
and we're gonna
Both times
we're gonna
both
see a
times he
lot
caught
of
the
him.
ball, he scored. I think he's still running on that 80-yard one right now.
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna hear a lot more of that this year from this young man. He is lightning.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But looking at it defensively, we're still trying to find an identity. I think JW. It's you can't rest on last year's obviously
Right.
identity, so you've got to find your own. And there's a lot of pieces on that defense still that are new. That it's gonna. I think it might take a little bit of time, maybe, to really become identifiable as the 2025 defense.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, we only gave up 327 yards, which is not a horrible amount in a high school
No.
game. But when you're used to only giving up 60, 70 games total a year,
Mm-hmm.
or, per game,
Yards a game.
yeah. Um, yeah, we've got some work to do. But I think we really pulled ourselves together second half and got with it, got with the
Oh,
program.
absolutely. That second half, there were obviously some adjustments, and we'll say that in the kind way. Adjustments made in the locker room that really
Yeah.
lit the fire. And you look at, I mean, that third quarter is what won us that game. I feel. I mean, don't get me
Absolutely.
wrong. Us scoring in the fourth quarter, obviously, we needed those points.
Yeah, we did, but
But the
the
fact that
turnaround, yeah,
that turnaround that we got the lead in the third, and that was all she wrote. Our defense came around, the adjustments enough to make sure Predmore wasn't going to be the one that absolutely beat us.
right,
We'll have to ask Coach Richards about it, but we feel that there was probably an adjustment with maybe a spy or something to
yeah,
where he went, the spy went, or at least a
right.
little bit more of a
So,
staying on top of him.
yeah,
And
they had
knowing
to they
where the
had to
ball is.
contain him for sure. Yeah, well, I can tell you for a fact because I was talking to a couple of the guys after the game, and they said halftime at the Ricky Motter Center last week was not a pleasant place to be.
It was not
So
a place for children, probably. I'm assuming.
yeah, exactly. Let's just say it probably wasn't rated PG, but it all worked out very well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's it was an exciting game to get back into the groove
Absolutely.
of it.
Yeah.
Points on the board. I mean, up until essentially the last play of the game. I mean, we kind of knew the game was over at that point, but still up to the last play of the game was still kind of questionable as to the complete outcome and stuff. So it's just it's good to be back in the swing. Another tough one coming up this week, but we're going to take a break here in just a quick second here and come back with Coach Richards. We're going to talk about the game last week and his thoughts. Maybe we'll have to remind him to keep it G-rated, mister.
Yeah.
But talk to him about the game against Ben Logan, and then a little bit later on talk about this week's game against the undefeated Pandora-Gilboa Rockets.
Yeah.
So
big rivalry.
Yes, sir. All right, we will take a break. You're watching. I got it right this time. The Bluffton Pirates Coaches Show live on Facebook Live, X, and YouTube.
Forget about those boring workouts. Jazzercise Bluffton brings the fire, loud music, big moves, zero apologies. This is more than fitness. It's strength, mental and physical. We offer 10 classes a week, high energy, full power. Call 419-722-4427 for more information. Jazzercise Bluffton. Train strong. Live stronger.
Bluffton Auto Repair Center provides friendly, reliable service for all your hometown car needs. Call 419-358-1900. Bluffton Auto Repair Center, across the street from Stratton Auto Group on Main and Jefferson in Bluffton.
Blanchard Valley Health System isn't just a hospital. We are an integrated health system providing comprehensive care in Northwest Ohio. For more information, please visit bvhealthsystem.org. Blanchard Valley Health System. We're here for you.
Fat Jack's Pizza in Lima, Ohio has 3 locations on West Street, Finley Road, and Spencerville Road to serve you. Family owned and operated, Fat Jack's offers great food options. Go to fatjackspizza.com for menus and more information.
Kira's Flipside Grill on Main Street in Bluffton offers a made-in menu, live weekly music, craft beer and cocktails, plus kids' meals too. Kira's Flipside Grill. Exceptional food, hip atmosphere, unique dining experience.
All right, we are back here to the Bluffton Pirates Coaches Show here on Facebook, X, and YouTube. We're back. Got the man. I forgot to switch him to the middle, JW.
Hey,
he's got to be between
there we go. That's
us
better.
Both there. So,
that's better.
But joining JW and myself is Coach Jeff Richards. Coach, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
So, okay, 33-30. You get the win. You got to be happy at least for that portion of it. What did you guys see at this during that first half that was your biggest concerns?
Well, we started slow, and week 1 games are always kind of tricky because nobody really knows anything going into week 1. I love the preseason polls and everything. They really mean nothing. 2023, we were picked to lose the first 3 games of the year, picked to go 3-7, and we ended up going 12-2 with 9 shutouts. So I don't put a lot of weight in that stuff. We knew that every year we've played Ben Logan, they've been better and they've been bigger every single year. This was year 3, and a lot of the guys we played were freshmen or sophomores the first years we played them. Now they're juniors and seniors. We knew they were going to be a problem size-wise for us up front, just because they averaged about 315 pounds across the board on their O-line.
It's a big boy.
Their D-line was 260 plus across the board. So they were a big team. And their quarterback, we saw him a little bit last year when their starter that year got injured. He came in week 1 against us, but then he started the rest of the season last year, and he was only a sophomore. So last year he did it as a freshman.
Right.
We were really impressed with him, and we knew they had some quality running backs and some receivers that could do some damage. So for me, it wasn't so much what they posed, it was how we came out and we kind of stalled out a little bit. We weren't looking like ourselves. And I think a part of that is, first game jitters. You've got some guys that they've been on the team for a lot of games, but they haven't been, under the lights. They haven't been the guy. And you had that with some. And then you had some guys, it was their first time ever being out there. And how we started, I was not happy with. I thought we started.
I heard rumors about that.
Yeah, I was unhappy with that. We knew. We had told the kids all week that Ben Logan was going to come in, with the chip on their shoulder with something to prove. And they did that. Coach Jenny, I give them a lot of credit. I think they're going to win a lot of games this year. I was impressed with how, the offense they were running is going to cause problems because they ran it really well. So I was really disappointed with how we came out slow because typically we start pretty fast. So that was kind of first half. That's where I was with it. It wasn't so much the score. At no point was I really concerned. Even with us being down, it was kind of, I looked at it as, well, we got to fix some things was the biggest thing.
Well, and I know JW and I talked about the only time we mentioned the score was we didn't really think it would be more beneficial to fall down by 2 scores. Yeah. Other than that, it wasn't whether or not we were ahead or not. Obviously, we wanted to be up, but it was because of the way they were running that offense. And I tell you, the Predmore kid, the quarterback, we talked about it just on the last segment, is he really knows how to play that read option. And if you're not ready to play against a read option like that, man, he had me fooled multiple times, and I'm sure he had our defense fooled too.
Well, he did a great job, especially, as an option guy at heart. I love me some option unless it's working against us, then I'm mad.
Right.
About it. But they had a great scheme with how they were aligning, and then he was doing a great job of riding out that handoff until the last moment and pulling it. And the thing about option football is if you guys that aren't doing their job, that's where you're going to get your success. And early on, we had some guys that were not doing their job. They were they weren't freelancing, but they were getting baited by that option. And that was one of the biggest things we had to fix, defensively, was just, one, settling the guys down and understanding that, they practiced too. They prepared for us. They looked at things that they thought they could take advantage of, and then refocusing on what we needed to do each play.
Right. Yeah, I think we talked about that a couple of times early in the game that, maybe some of our outside guys were getting hooked in, that sort of thing, people not standing their ground, where they needed to be. And what a vast improvement after halftime, though, on that even.
Yeah, I'm blessed with great assistant coaches. And, we came in at halftime. I got everybody together. I got everybody refocused on what we need to do. And a big part of it was just telling them to calm down. Yeah. Because I think, you're dealing with teenagers and you're dealing with people that, adversity pops up in the strangest ways. And sometimes you got to have somebody to kind of shake it out of you and say, relax, we're fine. And then, I turned it over to my coordinators, Coach Goings, talked to the offense quick, got us refocused what we're going to do. Coach Diller talked with the defense. We got that refocused. And the last thing I said to him was that the score was irrelevant and we're going to win every play from here on out. And it's going to start with our first play from scrimmage. And they kind of
did.
Boy, did that happen.
That one. That's always kind of fun because I can start yelling, I told you so. But, I thought with where we were at in the game, a one-score game with us and with who I know we have, I don't think is very concerning at halftime. And I think I think we've been spoiled so much with these gigantic leads the past years. And that was, I had to answer a lot of questions from people asking why we didn't blow them out. And I said, the goal is to win. It's not to win. Sometimes you have to win ugly. And I was more proud that our guys responded to adversity and gritted out. I'll win ugly every single game if we have to. I'd rather.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and I think part of that's a disservice to Ben Logan too, because they played their hearts out and they played a great game. And then on Saturday, our JVs went there and they had 50 JV players for Ben Logan. So it's not like there's just some small D17.
And let's talk about that. There wasn't a freshman on them.
Yeah.
On their JV team because they had a whole different freshman game going on after the fact.
We loaded up to leave after the JV game, and Miami Valley had a bus pull up with their freshman team. So, Ben Logan roster-wise, they've got a big roster. They play in a good conference. They're an up-and-coming team that we've watched the past few years, each year be a little bit better. And it was no surprise to me that they were a challenge. I wasn't thrilled how much of a challenge, but they're a good. They're a well-coached team.
Yeah, they absolutely are.
Well, can you talk a little bit about, you talked about that adversity, how much work did it take prior to the halftime break to be able to keep your guys kind of level-headed? Like, there was struggle. You guys struggled at points during that first half. How, what was the conversation on the sideline talking to one another or talking to those guys about, hey, keep your heads up. This is a process. This is why we play 48 minutes.
Well, one thing with it's having the opportunity to, because we got a lot of guys that go play both ways.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So if you have, someone that has something they need to fix scheme wise, but they don't come off the field, you're having to find ways to figure it out and get it taken care of until you can, get in there at halftime and kind of fix it together. One great thing I've got is those coaches on the sidelines that are able to grab guys and talk to them. And as a staff, we're in constant communication. We've got iPads down there, so we're able to see things. Where it really throws a wrench in is when you get guys that go down with an injury or something. So you're having to fix personnel with guys that are out and fix problems with other areas. So, in the first half, we didn't have too much, injury-wise, but we did have some guys that were having some issues. Blaine on his touchdown fell on the ball, and it kind of knocked the wind out of him.
Yeah.
So we were having to adjust a few things quick there, and then I had to give him a hard time because he had the wind knocked out of him. And I was calling him wind, but no, he was fine. So, yeah, it's a constant, a lot of the time on the headsets there, for me as the head coach, I'm flipping from the offensive to defensive headset constantly because we're trying to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Sure.
Well, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, going back to the fact that we have a lot of guys going both ways, obviously Ben Logan's got enough to go to two platoon. It was amazing to me the fact that I think we actually wore them down by the end of the game, despite the fact that some of those boys are just going one way. But you could tell that they were starting to get a little deflated there by the end of the game.
Well, a lot of it, I think, for us, because we weren't thrilled with how we looked by the end of the game. We thought we should have been in better shape, but we didn't really have guys cramping much. We didn't have issues with that. And we push them really, really hard in practice.
Right.
So conditioning and stuff is a big emphasis still. But, I think part of it, too, is a 4-quarter game. It's a grind. And if you're willing to, stay in there, we've got some kids that are showing their toughness by not coming off the field.
Yeah.
And we had a couple, situations there where I had some, receivers are running 40, 50-yard sprints every single play.
Yeah.
And if they're asking for a break, we want to give them a break to make sure they're fresh. But there were a couple of times where, I talked to somebody and said, I need you to be in right now because we have this. And they don't even hesitate. They nod their head and they strap up and they're ready to go. So, I'd like to think we're in better shape this week than we were last week. But it really comes down to, getting off the field when we get the opportunities. If we've got a guy that his break is this block of time, making sure he can get off the field and get that break and we don't miss a beat is huge.
Sure. Yeah.
So then you come off the field after the victory. What's that conversation you're having with the boys? Not a I told you so, but kind of, hey, we got this.
Yeah. So my big thing is never should you look and think that an obstacle is too great. And you really need to look at it as all I can control is what I do next. You can't look back. You can't change the past. All I can do is control what's in front of me right now. And I can't predict the future. So I might as well not look down the road.
Right.
Right. And with our guys, and we've got a lot of veterans, but we also got a lot of guys who are young or inexperienced, learning that and also finding out that, hey, I can get through this. It's a big grow up point for kids. They become a man right in front of our eyes sometimes when they realize, it's the same thing with, with contact in football. When a kid learns he's not made out of glass and they can take some contact, it's a freeing thing for them, because then they can, play without hesitation.
Well, and it's one of those that maybe they've never been in a situation where they made a mistake, got yelled at, and the very next play they're asked to do the same thing because you have the confidence in them.
Yeah.
So, big win. So a good win. Put that in the rearview mirror, and let's forget about it to a certain extent, but not forget about what we learned from it. But next week we move on to a game against the Pandora-Gilboa Rockets. We're going to take a quick break right now and come back and talk to Coach about this coming week's game against Pandora here at Harmon Field on Friday night. So we'll be right back. You're watching the Bluffton Pirate Coaches Show on Facebook, X, and YouTube.
With 27 years of experience and attention to detail, Angels Flooring provides many flooring services. Call 419-302-7151 for more information. Angels Flooring, serving Bluffton and surrounding areas since 2009.
Grove Systems in Bluffton is hiring for its 2026 apprenticeship class, where you attend road states for 2 days and train at Grove for 3 days during the week. Program covers tuition and pays you for 40 hours. Go to joingrove.com/apprentice for more information.
Axe Ventura is open every Thursday through Sunday, with locations in Findlay and Bellefonte. Walk-ins are welcome, but reservations are recommended. Visit axeventura.com to book today. Axe Ventura, family-friendly fun, focusing on the axe experience.
Lounge Media Group is a multimedia company that provides internet, radio broadcast, radio, and podcast services. Go to loungemediagroup.us for more information. Lounge Media Group, big city quality with a hometown price.
Riley Creek Sportswear in Bluffton provides embroidery, screen printing, letter jackets, and more for any size group. Call 467-204-8621 for more information or a quote. Riley Creek Sportswear, your small-town, family-owned sportswear connection.
Blanchard Valley Health System isn't just a hospital. We are an integrated health system providing comprehensive care in Northwest Ohio. For more information, please visit bvhealthsystem.org. Blanchard Valley Health System. We're here for you.
Southgate Lanes of Bluffton is open to the public and offers plenty of fun with sand volleyball, craft beer, and obviously food. Southgate Lanes, south of Bluffton on Main. Food's so good, you'd swear it's a restaurant.
All right, we're back here at the Bluffton Pirate Coaches Show here on Facebook, X, and YouTube. Thanks, JW, for the screen across the away screen, basically, with your Ohio State Buckeyes.
Sorry, I didn't realize we were back on air.
Right, sure you weren't. Right, you weren't doing that intentionally at all.
No, absolutely not.
We are back with Coach Richards. We come back this week. Another host. We're home again this week. We host Pandora-Gilboa. Coach, what's your first impression towards the boys of what this week is compared to last week? Oh, hold on. I didn't unmute you. I'm sorry.
Sick of hearing me. Muted me. Let's see.
Sorry. Please start over.
Pandora's a real well-coached team. They've got a great running back. Burke Porter runs really hard. Yeah. And they've got some, speed on the perimeter. Their quarterback's got a good arm. And up front, they've got some size. They range from like 230 to about 260. Mm-hmm. And their D-line, they've got a lot of those guys play both ways. So it's this kind of same things we have to deal with, they're having to deal with. I do think their game against Columbus Grove was a huge boost for their, them wise.
Sure.
Beating a rival. They played a pretty, solid game across the board, passing and rushing the ball. They forced some big-time turnovers and then capitalized on them. And then, you take advantage of mistakes. They're, the way they won the game on a 2-point conversion like that was clutch. And then their defense was real stingy. So I think it's a really big test for us. I think they're, a team that's riding pretty high right now. And I think they're really, really motivated. Plus, this is the last time we get to play them for a little while because of the BVC schedule shifts on them. So as such a close proximity rivalry, it's something, you want to end that one on a win.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was the last year for at least a little while with them, but they always tend to give us a pretty decent game. And is it because of the rivalry, or is it because we match up pretty well most of the time?
I think it's a blend. I think the rivalry part of it, it's a little different rivalry than like our rivalry with Grove. There's a lot more anger in that rivalry, it seems.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
With Pandora, that rivalry, it seems like it's more, a lot of these kids are related, or they work together at Suitors, or they
absolutely
they go to church together. So it's that type of rivalry where they see each other all the time. But then also, I think there are two schools that they love to compete, and their kids in all sports want to compete, and the same with ours. And they've got some really good kids. Every year they're fighting in the BVC. They're last year they started out 0-2 to Columbus Grove and us, and then rattled off a whole bunch of wins and had a great season. They were in conversation for winning the BVC last year. So,
right.
I think part of it is that they're just a really good football team to go against. Then you take the other part of it's early in the season. Nobody wants to, show too much in the scrimmages. So your film you get on another team in scrimmage is basically worthless. So then you got one game to go off of with it. So you try to prepare the best you can, but there's always those surprises. There's always those things you're not prepared for.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I mean, for those that saw the game, Grove was up 21-7. PG came back in the second half and scored two scores, and then that 2-point conversion. So to me, it seems like it'd be hard to get the stats that because they made such a nice come from behind win. I don't know what the overall totals were, but
and also box scores are always deceiving too, because Pandora had the ball on the 3-yard line right before halftime and didn't score.
Right, yeah.
So they had opportunities that they didn't get, and they still were able to come out on top. So, we always, as a staff, when we get film, we watch it all the way through just to get an idea of the game.
Sure.
And then you break it down and you start doing the analytics and all that stuff. But really, you've got to get a feel of what happened in the game, because, our game Friday – it was one of the weirdest games I've ever been a part of.
Yeah.
And if you look at the final score of us giving up a safety and you don't understand that we purposely ran the clock out, you're confused about how a safety happened and things like that. So you always really need to watch the game, because, field position's big too. Pandora attempted multiple onsides in that game.
Yeah.
The turnovers, things like that. A box score doesn't always show you everything.
Absolutely. And by the way, I have to say that was a genius play at the end of because Sam and I were up in the press box and we're like, okay, what do we do with 6 seconds left?
I said run around, but I didn't think about going into the end zone.
I didn't either. I never gave it a thought about just, run around, go into the end zone with no time and get the safety, and who cares? So very nice job.
We practice situational things every year. We go, for as long as I've been coaching, we've done it. And I've asked some of my assistants who are a little older than I am with it about, and that's something we've practiced for years. And we always tell the kids, we're probably never going to have to do this. This is probably never going to happen. And then it finally happens. And, I was thrilled, actually, our last possession with as a staff, we were all really, really confident on the same page with what we needed to do. And then, it was a very direct conversation with Tate about making sure he gets in the end zone and falls down.
Yeah, absolutely.
0. But, it was kind of one of those weird ones that the box score isn't going to show that, but it was, that was a wild win.
But yeah, just one more time. I think that was a great piece of coaching there.
Thank you.
So we had a couple of injuries that affected the defense and the offense as well. I guess it's both sides. whatever information you give us, but how are those guys doing?
Well, injuries are always interesting because you're going to get the hopeful prognosis and then the expect the worst and things like that.
Right.
We're very blessed. We've got a great trainer. We've got a team doctor that's on the sidelines on Fridays and stuff. Javen Croft has had an injury to his shoulder in the game, and we're expecting him to come back later this season, but he was in a sling at the end of the game. It was obvious, some stuff. Evan Grotehouse, he went down on the sidelines there in the fourth quarter, but with that one, that's kind of a recurring thing. So he's a day-to-day one where we're kind of, he might be, he might not be, but we can't say anything either way because all that's dependent on him.
Basically a game time decision.
Yeah, and that's kind of where it's at. And then we got some other ones that they didn't dress for the game Friday, and they're on their way back. So it's a constant revolving door with things, and a sport like football, you take more damage in practices a lot of times you do than games. You never know what to expect from one week to another. So the way I always go into a week is I'm expecting my opponent's going to have everybody healthy. And I'm assuming my opponents are going to think the same way because I may or may not have had a player a number of years ago that people believed was injured and he came running out and then had 400 all-purpose yards in a game. So, I never believe too much on rumors with injuries and things like that.
Sure. So I think the boys both have taken their injuries pretty well. Yeah. I mean, Evan was even joking around because I took him home on the golf cart because he couldn't bend his leg hardly. And he said, I'll probably be playing in the JV game tomorrow. Just, that's just Evan. But, they have a real positive outlook.
Evan on the sidelines, when he was down, I was talking to him, trying to keep him calm. And I brought up, he had a 20-yard reception, and he was a lineman a year ago. And he screamed out stats because he knows he's got stats. So he averages 20 yards per catch right now.
Yeah, it was funny. I was talking to his mom after the game, and she said, even if he is out for the season with this injury, she goes, wow, what a play to go out on.
Let's talk a little bit about the kicking game. I know this doesn't all fall into PG, but yet it does because we're moving on to it and we still have a need for a kicking game. The kickoff was fantastic, but Ethan struggled a little bit with his extra points. How do you go and talk to him and say, hey, look, forget that. Let's keep working on and going forward.
Yeah. So those last two, extra points wise, that's that when somebody goes down, they go down on more than one section. So our two guys that came up injured during the game, they were side by side on extra point. So we had two subs in on extra point. Yeah. Now I'll give that credit to one of those two. The other two, it was just a mechanics issue and stuff. And a big part of it, it's kicking a ball sounds simple, but I'm going to take 11 guys and have them run at you to try to hit you. Yeah, from 5 yards away, and also you've got to aim it. There's a lot of moving parts. The snap has to be good, the hold has to be good, and then the kick has to be good. So there was a lot of things that we knew we had to get better at just watching, and that was from the first extra point through. We've worked that a lot, and that's something that it's a continuous thing. A great thing is that we've got some really talented soccer players that are helping us kick, but then also he's new. It's his first year with it. We've got a couple other guys that have been working at it a couple of years, and they're pushing him, because they're wanting that opportunity as well. So, I think on kickoff, he did a great job. He even got a tackle. I told him, we don't want you to have to get tackles, but you officially have a tackle in the past. But, I think with that, we treat every single position every week as a competition. Nobody's guaranteed to start anywhere. So how they look from day to day and stuff, it determines a lot. They've had a great attitude. After the extra points, he came off and, he's the one, he was wanting to take the blame for him, which is great because he's not trying to pit it on somebody else. But a big part of it, I think, is just the maturing as we go and continue to get better.
Yeah. All right, sir. We're at that point again. So the three keys, turnovers, line of scrimmage, all that fun stuff. Give us our explanation as to why those are important this week against Pandora.
Yeah, line of scrimmage as always. For us, I was very disappointed we didn't run the ball as well as we did we didn't run it well last week. And I think part of that is just, matchups, but then the other part is execution. And we're challenging our guys this week, on the line of scrimmage, offensively and defensively. They need to do a good job. Time of possession, if we can't get the ball, that's a problem. So our defense has to get off the field. And then offensively, we would like to extend drives. I think a big part for us was that end of the third quarter against Ben Logan, where we had that nice 8-minute drive that kind of drains the clock.
Yeah.
If you can do that whenever you want, that's huge. But also I've emphasized very emphatically to our guys about if we're ever in a deficit, we can score really, really fast. So they should never think that they're out of a game, no matter what a deficit is, because we've proven really, really quickly how fast we can score.
Yeah.
And it was 20 seconds for 2 drives.
Yeah. So, and that's where time of possession's big, but if I don't win time of possession, there better be a lot of really, really big explosive plays. And then, turnovers, it's always, we turned the ball over once last week, and it was, in the first half when we weren't quite in rhythm. But then we got a really big takeaway that prevented us from going down 2 scores.
Sure.
Pandora capitalized on 2 really big turnovers to beat Grove. So, us taking care of the football is the first step, but then forcing turnovers, if we're able to, is the next.
Can you talk about Kane just for a second? I mean, what kind of a feeling is it to have a kid with wheels like that again this year? I mean, you knew if he caught it, you knew if he had a step, nobody was going to touch him.
Yeah, he's not slow. He's got a great, his strides. He looks almost effortless with it.
Yeah.
He's big.
And for a first-year kid, my goodness.
The difference is, though, it's unfair to compare one player to another. Griffin's build was different. Griffin was shorter, and his steps, Kane takes 1 stride, and it's about 4 of mine. So, but he's for a first year, didn't play his freshman through junior year.
Right.
He picked things up real quick, and he's very competitive. So anything he's doing, he's trying to when we do conditioning, it's a competition. But we're pretty confident if somebody's not running the same direction as him or isn't in good position, we can pull away. And the best was, Leighton Miller had another run like that where
goodness, yeah.
We've got speed, which I knew we did. Being able for guys to hook up like that was a nice feeling.
Yeah.
Well, and it transitions a little bit different onto the field in gameplay compared to what you see at practice sometimes too.
Yeah, absolutely. And, with it, game speed and practice speed are always 2 different things.
Right.
And we knew, you got a guy who's top 3 in the state in track.
Yeah.
He's gonna be faster than most people. And it's great that we run conditioning sprints, and there's guys that are, jawing with him, trying to keep up with him. So,
right. Yeah.
I may or may not pick on some guys that have a lot of career touchdowns right now that they're like the 9th fastest guy on our depth chart, and they get a little upset.
Well, Coach Jeff Richards,
makes them a little more fired up.
That's right.
Coach Jeff Richards, thanks so much for coming in and talking about last week, talking about tomorrow night against Pandora, a rivalry game that we won't see for a while after this year. So let's go make it 2 in a row and 2-0 on the season.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
We will be right back. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back and wrap it up here on the Bluffton Pirate Coaches Show. We'll be right back. You're listening or watching. Dang it.
Yeah.
I almost had the perfect game there, JW. Almost.
Well,
But you're watching the Bluffton Pirates Coaches Show on the Lounge Sports Network.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm agent Jason Cox can help you bundle your home and auto insurance today and save money with a State Farm personal price plan. Jason Cox State Farm. Go to jasonismyguy.com for more information.
Pirates look good on the gridiron, and Eikenberry Landscape keeps Bluffton looking good off the field. Design, install, maintain. With a great team and great clients, we get the job done. Call 419-205-0759 for more information or a quote. Eikenberry Landscape Company, proudly serving Pirate Country for all your landscaping needs.
This Time Out is sponsored by Sumi Rico, Ohio.
At SRK, we believe in teamwork, growth, and community pride. We're hiring for multiple positions, and now's your chance to be a part of a winning team. We're proud to call Bluffton home and honored to create opportunities for the people who make this community strong. Go Pirates!
Kira's Flipside Grill on Main Street in Bluffton offers a made-in menu, live weekly music, craft beer and cocktails, plus kids' meals too. Kira's Flipside Grill. Exceptional food, hip atmosphere, unique dining experience.
Blanchard Valley Health System isn't just a hospital. We are an integrated health system providing comprehensive care in Northwest Ohio. For more information, please visit bvhealthsystem.org. Blanchard Valley Health System. We're here for you.
Hey neighbor, how are you? I wanted to tell you about a place where the wifers and I love to go. Hothead Burritos in Wapakoneta, and now Lima brings you amazing food and fast. You can try any of their sauces on a burrito or a bowl. So grab some Hothead Burritos and enjoy the game. Later, Gator. I'll see you in church. Go Pirates!
All right, welcome back to the Bluffton Pirates Coaches Show here on the Lounge Sports Network. I'm Sam Sprunger, JW. We just talked to Coach Richards. Same keys to winning, but a very different description as to why those three things are very important. Excuse me.
Yeah. I mean, it's always the same basics, but it's just how you go about to achieve those.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see with those injuries that we accrued on Friday against Ben Logan, how do we move on? Like if they're both out, we know Javen's out for a little while, but let's say Evan's out, that takes an offense and defensive side, a guy from each side.
Yeah.
Does it take two? Does it take one only to replace him for both sides? And how effective? Because I tell you what.
Yeah.
Evan Grotehouse is a very, very effective defensive end, and he helps Mason Shank on the other side because they've got to worry about him. They've got to worry about each of them.
Absolutely,
now, if you take Evan away, what does that mean for Mason and who replaces him?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a hard chore to, if we need to replace both of those guys. Robbie Taylor has done a great job on defense too. So, I think he can step up in Javen's place.
And he's a receiver as well.
Grotehouse is going to be a little tough because let's face it, he's the character guy on our line. If he's excited, everybody's excited, and he knows how to play off of that.
He knows how to deflate the seriousness of an issue or of a situation for the good.
Absolutely.
For the good.
Yeah. I mean, he just keeps everybody on the top of their game. And hopefully neither one's gone too awful long, but if they are, I think we do have some good experienced kids that can step up and fill in, until they're back.
I'm kind of dating myself here by sharing this example for what Evan is to our defense and offenses. Remember back in I don't know exactly what year it was. Might have been 89, maybe, when the Bengals and 49ers played in the Super Bowl the second time.
Yeah.
And Joe Montana took the Niners down the field to win the Super Bowl. It's a famous story. He goes into the huddle from a timeout and says, "Oh, hey, look, there's John Candy." They're driving down the field to potentially win the biggest game some of these guys have ever played in. and he was able to put some levity and
yeah,
pull away. Like, look, we're just playing a game, but look, there's John Candy. I think that's kind of what Evan does.
Yeah, that's Evan to a T. He just comes up with some off the wall stuff, and he just lightens up the mood, and everybody just has a blast playing with him.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, let's. You can't piggyback off coaches, but what's your one key right now that in your mind for what Bluffton needs to do tomorrow to get us a victory?
I think it still is going to be our defense, honestly. Hopefully we can, if Evan doesn't play and we know Javen's not, hopefully we can get somebody to take their spot and fill in. And we've definitely got an offense. I mean, we've seen that. We scored twice in 20 seconds.
Right.
The offense is there. We need to work on our rushing on the offense. Our passing is there. But I think our defense is the key to trying to dominate a game right now.
Yeah, for almost the exact same reasons. The defense is important. We can't give up a ton of points. We can give up points. Don't get me wrong.
We can score with everybody.
Allowing points is not the concern. It's giving up fewer than we're able to score. And our offense is getting there. And we talked about this a little bit off air last week right after the game got done. These two sides of the ball are going to get better progressively throughout the season.
Oh, absolutely.
There's no doubt. And like I said during the first segment, we saw glimpses in that first half of what each of those sides could do.
Oh, yeah.
And it just didn't come together. Now, did we put together a perfect second half? No, but it was a lot markedly better compared to what it was in the first half.
Yeah, 100% different. I mean, the kids came out with fire. You could tell that they were getting excited. They just kind of came out flat, and I don't think they really knew what to expect. Maybe the first half, but that second half they came out fired up and ready.
Yeah, and so I think you're absolutely right. I think it's the defense. The defense needs to be more solid, more sure on Friday to ensure a win because, like you said, our offense can score in a split second.
Oh, absolutely.
From 80 yards, it only takes 12 seconds to get a touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, but we could also grind the ball out and take 8 minutes off.
Yeah.
So if our defense is doing their job, our offense already has done their job enough, we can grind it out and milk that clock and make the game a lot shorter in the fact that the Rockets won't get as many opportunities to try to get back into it.
Right,
So
absolutely.
I agree that the defense is our side of the ball that's a little bit more important for consistency this week.
I think so too. Did we mention the play of the game?
We'll mention that on Friday.
Okay. All right. That sounds good then.
Yeah.
But,
we will have the Jazzercise of Bluffton play of the game. We already know what the play is, but we keep that for the
okay.
pregame,
All right.
the kickoff show there.
I didn't realize it was a secret. So,
well, we don't officially announce it until the week.
Okay.
That broadcast. So
that's fine then.
Most of you know what it is. I'm just gonna. It's not a huge secret because it's pretty obvious what it was. But we're gonna announce that.
But like you said, we can score in such a short time. So no matter if we're down a couple scores, we can always come back from that. And
like I said, you don't want to be down by a couple of scores,
right?
But,
no, you don't.
But we have the firepower that we can get back into it, even if
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So.
All right, my friend, that brings us to the end of this week's Bluffton Pirates Coaches Show here on Facebook, X, and YouTube. One more sleep, and we get football at Harmon Stadium, 7 p.m. at Harmon Stadium. Harmon Field.
Harmon
Good
Field.
Lord,
you're struggling with that, aren't you?
I don't know why either. I have no reason. I don't know what it is. It's
probably a Harmon Stadium as well.
It is the stadium at Harmon Field is what I would say.
Yeah.
But Harmon Field, 7 p.m. Friday. The Bluffton Pirates host the Pandora-Gilboa Rockets for Game 2 of this 2025 season. Pre-game show, or the kickoff show, the pre-game festivities start off with the Grove Systems kickoff show at 6:05, followed by X's and O's with Coach Richards, presented by Jason Cox in State Farm Insurance. And then we wrap up all those pregame festivities with the Curious Flipside Grill pregame show. All of that jam-packed stuff, including the Jazzercise play of the game. All of that.
So much excitement all packed into a short time.
All of that packed into 55 minutes, because then after that, what do? We get on there and we do play-by-play of some of the Pirates and the Rockets. So thanks so much for joining us this evening.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
For JW Shannon, JW Shannon, that guy right there, I'm Sam Sprunger. We'll see you on Friday.